So in today's video, I'm going to be looking at 5 players that are in bad situations in the NFL. Now, before we get into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's jump right into the video. So when it comes to the players on this list, I kind of threw their contract out of it because if you look at some of these players' contracts, obviously from a money standpoint, they're not in bad situations. They're getting compensated very, very nicely. And so when it comes to contracts, I don't want to look at that because depending on your definition of bad situation and you see the money they're getting paid, you may not think they're in a bad situation. So I kind of threw that out. This list is mainly made up of guys that are on teams that have been really bad football teams, and guys that if they were on a winning team would be making an instant impact and helping a winning franchise and contribute to them possibly making a deep playoff run or at least becoming a better team all around. Also, there's one player on this list that I have on here just for the fact that their team has completely mistreated them all off season, in my personal opinion. So let's get right into the list. Coming in at number 5, I have Leonard Williams of the New York Giants. Now, for a little bit, I didn't have him on this list because he's in a much better situation than what he's been the last few years. The Giants, they've had a really good offseason. It started by hiring a new head coach and a new GM. They brought in Brian Daboll as head coach and Joe Schoen as their GM. And I think Joe Schoen did a great job this offseason for the mess that he was brought into, and I really do believe Brian Daboll is going to have that ability to lead the Giants in the correct direction and make them a better football team than what they've been in years past. But the reason why I still have Leonard Williams on this list is for the simple fact that he's been so good the last couple of years, and the Giants have nothing to show for it. Now, that could change, like I said, with Brian Daboll as the head coach now, but I still think it's fair to put Leonard Williams on this list because while I think the Giants are in a better situation as a team because they did make those changes in the front office and as head coach, a guy like Leonard Williams I still think would be great on a team that is contending, because if you look what he's done the last couple of years, he has 18 sacks the last 2 years, and he's one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL, and I just don't think he gets talked about very much outside of New York, just for the simple fact that the Giants have been such a bad football team, because this guy can do anything, any and everything that you need on the defensive line. You look at the position that he plays, you can play him at defensive end or interior defensive line, and he will be a game wrecker no matter what. He's absolutely insanely good when it comes to the pass defense. He's obviously great at getting home to the quarterback, 18 sacks the last 2 years. And then you look at his contributions in the run defense. He's great in run defense. So Leonard Williams, while I do think the Giants are in a better situation now than what he's been the last couple of years, I still think that you put Leonard Williams on a contending football team, he's going to make a massive impact. He's been really good the last 2 years, definitely turned into one of the better defensive linemen in the NFL, and seeing him on a contending team would be very, very fun to watch. So coming in at number 5, we have Laremy Tunsil. So it turns out it does not matter what pictures are leaked on draft day. If you're really talented, you're going to make an impact in the NFL, and that's exactly what happened with Laremy Tunsil. He had an unfortunate situation in the 2016 draft, where on draft day a picture of him was leaked and it kind of tanked his stock, but he was taken by the Miami Dolphins and now plays for the Texans. And if you're looking at Laremy Tunsil, he's one of the better offensive tackles in the NFL. Like he's in a very bad situation right now. Let's be real about that one. He's in a bad situation with the Texans, and I think Laremy Tunsil, if you give him an opportunity to protect one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, I think that would be really fun to watch. Give an offensive line in today's NFL is honestly sneakily one of the most important things in the entire NFL. The NFL is so pass heavy these days that you need elite offensive linemen. You need offensive linemen that can protect like crazy, offensive linemen that can allow a quarterback to throw, just because of how the offenses are structured in today's NFL. And I think Laremy Tunsil, you put him on an elite team, he's going to be making an impact. He's already doing that when he played for the Dolphins, when he's played for the Texans. He's a really good player. Now, he was injured last year. He did miss most of last season. In his 6-year NFL career, he's only given up 13 sacks. So he's a very reliable pass protector. The most important thing to be able to do, in my opinion, in today's NFL is pass block. Laremy Tunsil does that. So, like I said, to see a guy like Laremy Tunsil, who is one of the better tackles in the NFL and is very reliable when it comes to pass blocking, which, like I said, very vital in today's NFL, you put him on a contending team, and I think he's going to be making an instant impact immediately and contributing to that offense on whatever team he plays for. Coming in at number 4, I'm kind of cheating here, but I have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett combined on this one entry. Now, they both play for the Seattle Seahawks, and I just think based off of what's happened this offseason, they are in a very rough situation now, and I do not like it for them whatsoever. I think Tyler Lockett, first of all, is one of the most underrated players in the entire NFL, does not get talked about. Him and Russell Wilson had one of the most beautiful deep ball connections in the entire NFL the last few years. Tyler Lockett, an unbelievable wide receiver, did great things with Russell Wilson there. And then DK Metcalf, the threat that he is on the perimeter, his speed, just how that dude is ginormous. He's just an all-around great receiver. Those two guys are not in the right spot. Like, I think that's pretty evident, and that's just my opinion, because now they have either Geno Smith or Drew Lock, and to be honest, in my opinion, I don't think they're going to be winning with those two guys. These two guys don't have a quarterback that can allow their talent to shine. These two are very talented wide receivers, but when you have Drew Lock throwing you the football, I don't think you're really going to be able to have your full potential of a wide receiver shine in today's NFL just with obviously Drew Lock as your quarterback. So I don't like the situation that these two are in. But these two guys, you give them, put them on a contending team like the Packers, who desperately need a wide receiver, for example. You put them on a team that's contending, they will make an instant impact, especially when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. And then you know, even Chicago, I don't think Chicago necessarily has the best wide receiving core in the NFL. You put them on that team, you give Justin Fields some help. And so these two guys, very talented wide receivers, not in the best spot. And another note, I don't trust Pete Carroll whatsoever when it comes to anything, but Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, two insanely talented wide receivers that are in very bad spots. Coming in at number 2, we have Christian McCaffrey. Now, him and injuries are basically coinciding with each other because Christian McCaffrey unfortunately cannot stay healthy whatsoever. It literally feels like if the wind is blowing in the wrong direction on any given Sunday, Christian McCaffrey ends up getting hurt. And I really hate that for him, because if you look at Christian McCaffrey, when he's on the football field, not only is he the best football player on his team, not only the best football player in that game, any given Sunday when Christian McCaffrey is playing in the NFL on a football field, he's one of the best players in the entire NFL. Like, that's how insanely talented Christian McCaffrey is. And I really hate the fact that he cannot stay healthy, because when he is healthy, like I said, he's one of the best players in the entire NFL week in and week out. And it's not just for the fact that he's a running back. He's probably the best dual threat running back in the NFL. In 2018, he led the Panthers in both receiving and in rushing yards. So Christian McCaffrey, he's a very versatile player. He can literally do everything you need on a football field. He will literally put a team on his back. And I just think Christian McCaffrey is in a very rough team, in a really rough spot right now. He's obviously gotten paid handsomely by the Carolina Panthers, but the Panthers as a whole, we can kind of agree that, you know, they're not necessarily the best football team for Christian McCaffrey to be on, just because they're even with all the talent that McCaffrey has, they're not really able to win that much. I mean, he's been to the playoffs once in his entire career. Now, I know he's been injured. You know, things may shake out differently if McCaffrey doesn't get injured, because he's that good of a player. He makes an impact when he's on the field. But Christian McCaffrey, he's one of the best players in the NFL when he's healthy. I really hate it for him. And you get Christian McCaffrey, hopefully he stays healthy, but he stays healthy and you put him on a team that will utilize him correctly. The first couple of teams that came to my mind would be a team like Buffalo or a team like the 49ers. You know, you put a Christian McCaffrey on the 49ers, that would be insane. Like, imagine his production's already high, but imagine the production that Christian McCaffrey would put in the 49ers offense. That would be absolutely insane, and I would love to see that. But Christian McCaffrey, one of the best players in the entire NFL, is in a really bad situation with the Carolina Panthers. And coming in at number 1 is Baker Mayfield. Now, this is where the talent doesn't necessarily matter, and this is where I was talking about at the beginning, when it has everything to do with the team treating him like garbage this entire offseason. First of all, we have to look at Baker Mayfield last year. Yes, Baker Mayfield wasn't the best quarterback in the NFL, and yes, Baker Mayfield, in a way, did hurt the team because he could have shut himself down for the season, so that way he could have gotten surgery, all that, you know, to get healthy for this next season, and maybe things shake out a little bit differently. But Baker Mayfield while I do think he could have helped himself out in that way, you also can't question his toughness and the fact that he went out there every single week injured and did everything he possibly could. And I just don't think that the Browns have necessarily been treating him the best, especially for the fact that he got them their first playoff win back in the 2020-2021 season, their first playoff win since like 1994. So Baker Mayfield has done a lot for the Browns. He was their #1 overall pick in the 2018 draft. I just don't like the way that the Browns have necessarily handled Baker Mayfield this offseason, because I think he's done a lot for the Browns. I know that his play last year, like we said, was not good. And I understand in a way why the Browns would upgrade at quarterback, but for Baker Mayfield's sake, just for what he's done to the team, I really think that the least they could have done is possibly trade Baker Mayfield. You know, I know that they want value for him, and I understand that because he was a first overall pick, things like that. But I think the Browns honestly put themselves in this bad situation, and Baker Mayfield is kind of feeling it. And he's a guy, while I do think Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield, I just don't like the way that they kind of handled Baker Mayfield. At the end of the day, it is a business, but I still think that Baker Mayfield, what he's done for the Cleveland Browns, especially with a team that's been so bad for so long, Baker Mayfield absolutely deserves a little bit more respect for what he's done. Now, you can say he hasn't acted necessarily the best off the field. Like, I get that part too. But a guy like Baker Mayfield, I mean, not the best quarterback in the NFL, but also a guy that's led a poverty franchise to some resemblance of success in his career. And he was injured all of last year, and he played his heart out while injured. And there's also a game that you're looking at, that final game against Pittsburgh last year, where the Browns absolutely did not use him they didn't do anything correctly on offense on that Monday Night Football game. The Browns absolutely set everybody up for failure in that game specifically. So overall, I don't like the way that the Browns have treated Baker Mayfield. I get upgrading at quarterback, but I don't like what happened with Baker Mayfield. But those are the 5 players that I think are in bad situation in the NFL. Give me some players that you think are in bad situations. Give me some guys that you think I might have missed. You know, these are outside the box names. You know, some of these guys you may not have thought to put on this list, but give me your thoughts down below, and I will see you in the next one.